Well, hello everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Looks like tonight it's just going to be me, myself, and I. So, see, we got Mark and John and Greg and Brian and Railroad Video, Dwight. Yep, train time. Yep, James just popped in. So, anybody wants to be on the panel, just come on and click on the posting either in G Plus under YouTube Model Builders or Facebook under YouTube Model Builders, and you can get the link there and click on that. It'll bring you on in. It may ask you to load some software. That only takes about 3 seconds. That's just so that the up here software knows how to use your camera. Watching and building. Okay. Oh, my counter's running a little slow there, Dwight. Steven, how you doing? He's from Canada, he said. D. Bob. Alright, James, you got your phone. You're going to start putting it together, huh? That'll be good. Do some videos on it. See, we got a bunch of rivet counters here tonight. Ari, how you doing? Like I said, don't be shy. Click the panel link. Come on in, get on the panel. Well, we got a guest here. Mr. D. Bob. How you doing?
Going?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I gotta be the first.
Railroad Video says he's running trains and watching the show from here in the valley. The Valley of Giants, I guess. And Dwight said to Bob, the folks at Spring Trains said to say hello. I bought a couple of things last Saturday. Let's see, we got Andy and Robert jumping in on the panel here.
What's up, Johnny? Just get the studio truck fired up so it looks like I've got good color bars.
I was wondering who had the truck tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I was supposed to take it, but you guys left the keys on the counter at the office, so.
That was Big Bill again.
At the Empire office, the worldwide headquarters.
Yeah. Well, we got another guest that popped in here. You might.
To Bob, that's right. Yeah.
Well, if the guest to try one more time, we'll tell you where to go to check the settings for your camera and microphone. Must be nighttime there, Robert. The shadows are long and it looks like the sun's going down.
Yeah, it's getting to be nighttime.
Greg
I just
said,
don't have the proper lighting in there, that's all.
Yeah. Greg said you need a haircut, Andy.
Probably. I just got a haircut.
I was going to shave before the show, but I didn't have time. Had to
I was
make
going to
a
grow a longer beard, but I didn't have time.
yeah.
Takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was fixing to. Then my son informed me he broke something in the bathroom, so we had to go to Home Depot.
I'm not advertising.
Yeah. How you doing, Lord?
Fine, yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know Andy and Robert been pretty busy and hadn't gotten anything really done lately, but anybody else got anything done?
I'm trying to rework my helix mountain. If you can kind of see this thing in the back here, that's one of the sides that I'm thinking about destroying and redoing the whole side different way.
What do you got back?
Just don't really like that kind of structure.
vertical.
Doesn't look real. It just doesn't look real. Yeah.
Piers. That's tough. You can get really, really steep, but if they're but that's yeah.
So I got to figure out a different way. And I'm thinking about just going with all foam, kind of building a side just out of the foam, carving out pieces and something. But it's a work in progress. I didn't really like how the door was merging with that side, and just wasn't going to work right. So I changed that a little bit. Doing a little Ralph Renzetti suggestion.
Be careful with that.
Yeah. I've contemplated it for a while now, going, is he right?
And he talking about those sharp, like what he's doing in the back of his city state is a fairly sharp hill, but it's structures.
Yeah. But I'm looking more at how he did his swing bridge and the rocks up on top, where they close in and merge. It's sort of like reverse door kind of thing.
Yeah, they're like interlaced into each other. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
So I'm kind of doing that with my door, and I've got one side up there that will fit, so it opens up and just kind of folds into the helix a little bit. It doesn't impede any track or nothing, so
right.
It should look good. I just got to figure out the rest of it. So I'm gonna kind of wing it.
The best stuff comes together when you wing it anyway.
Yeah.
Ron, got a message here for you from Brian W. FYI Ron. I did the Arduino campfire with the 0402 LEDs, better for N scale.
Interesting. I've been trying
He
to figure
said
out.
just like you suggested. I just hadn't read far enough down.
Right. I'm going to get some smaller LEDs. I hadn't decided if I was going to go with the 0402s or the 0603s. I may do the 0603s. Either one, or a lot less bulk to be able to build a campfire that's a more realistic size for N scale. What I had looked fantastic for HO,
Sure. But I just use 0402s for everything. I bought some 0603s and some 0804s in a combo kit when I first bought LEDs. They come, the 3 sizes or something, and a couple of the larger ones. And I haven't found a reason to run the 0603s in anything, basically. 0402s are much brighter than I want them to be, and have to tone them down significantly for everything. So I just 0402s in everything I have, unless I had a big enough, if I had a big factory or something. But I think I just use a few extra 0402s. I really like working with those as a standard fire.
I was thinking about using the 0420s, but I started thinking about it. I said, nah, I must be high to think that. Never going to use that. It's over your head.
Sizes, but I've seen, and they've got smallers. Those little 0201s are, that's just craziness.
It reaches a point at which it's just too small to handle. I mean,
Well, they could get it. Well, yes, they get them down to you could get them down to a pinhead. I mean, they are so infinitely small that it's basically just a little point coming up. But I'm inclined to think if you wanted a point like that, it's too hard to get the fixture in and all the wires in. By the time you get that small, the wire is bigger than the LED. That if you need to go that small for what we're doing, I'm inclined that the light pipe or quote unquote fiber optic, not what it is, but
Right.
Get the pre-wired ones. Just get the pre-wired ones. That way you won't have to do any soldering on those.
Well, if you're looking
But even
at
still, like,
what you did with the running that electroluminescent wire, along like a neon sign, along so it lights along the link, then yes, there's no doubt about it. You buy that stuff that Microlumina or whoever that is that has that. That's the stuff you buy without a question. But if you just want a needle point of light, like the headlight bulb on an in-scale car or something, for example, or an in-scale vehicle, light piping it out to a little point is just about the only way you can get that needle tight small light. The wires getting away from it are the biggest problem at that small size.
Right.
So 0402 is a bigger problem for me.
How you
Andy,
doing,
is it your
Chris?
mic that's making that high-pitched squeak
Huh?
when you talk? There's a high-pitched squeak when I think Andy talks. I don't know. Or maybe it's something else.
Well,
I don't
he
think it's
does have
Andy.
a high-pitched voice
No.
anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dwight
Huh.
put up here, I'm putting KD couplers on an old River Rossi logging train, hopefully. Maybe even a DCC chip, too, later. And Brian said he will post videos for you, Ron, and share with you.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see those.
Yeah, he said it only cost you $5 this video.
And charge it to my tab.
That's per view, by the way.
Hey, Brian's a small railroader too, so we do what we can to make a little money here and there.
Yep.
And Greg said, "What is Lloyd doing? It looks interesting."
No, it's not. It's so boring. I'm making jumpers to go between my tortoises and the bench work, so I just have to plug in wires. Basically, that's what it is.
Okay, yeah, you got to plug in the blues for the tortoise.
Yeah.
Then the white end is your pigtail.
Yep.
So you're gonna have a little bit of a porky railroad, huh?
What?
Porky pig.
I said you're gonna have a little bit of a porky railroad with the pigtails.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't be here all week.
Just on Thursdays.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Railroad. You got Railroad video goes tough crowd. Yeah.
It's late at night. Getting a little punchy.
Yeah. So let's see, you
This
just
may
got a
be the
video,
last-
huh? Do what?
I was just gonna time you all see me sane for a while because I had one of my college student kids moved back home for the summer yesterday, and the other one comes home. So
So which one's sleeping under the layout?
yeah, whichever one aggravates me the most that day.
Yeah. While you're under there, rewire that. Put a switch in.
Okay. Had to read White's comment a couple of times before I finally got it. He's just asking Railroad Video where he was at. They're comparing the weather. So what's next, Ron? I just saw you posted, what, a static grass video here recently?
Yeah, I just did a little scenery, did some static grass and some other stuff. I'm going to do some more on that project in a couple of weeks. Filming a video for next week, which is about just doing simple upgrades to rolling stock for purpose.
Yeah. All right, Mr. William, let's see if I remember how to pronounce this. Arsno, hopefully, because you did put it in the chat the other night. He said, has anyone come up with a fix for Intermountain N-Scale SD40-2S crappy electrical pickup which causes such poor operating issues?
Wood chipper. That's my suggestion. After my problems. Besides hard wiring it to the pickup from the truck, I don't know.
Yeah, Ari said he has, somebody don't have that problem.
What? I don't have any answers. What's the issue? I don't even.
He says he's having bad pickup issues, electrical pickup issues, causes poor operation. No Dwight, no ATF fluid on the track.
How about hydraulic? Some grease maybe? No, there's probably none of that.
Oh man, we used to have a problem. We had one guy out there at the store. He said, no, you got to put this electrical oil on the tracks so they run better. No, you don't, because every time he did, I had to crawl up on the layout and clean the incline and the rest of the track because the trains will lose traction.
I used to know guys.
You have those traction tires.
Traction tires don't work once you get that oil on them.
Right. Once you get the oil on there, it's just nice, like a nice slick road.
Yeah. Don't care what it is. What kind of traction you got?
You're hydroplaning.
Yeah. Yeah, my son does courier service and for tires. He said he stopped in a warehouse to pick up an order. They had a new guy working there. He gave him the paperwork. And the guy started to walk off and he went, hey, he said, make sure those are the waterproof tires. He walks off. He said a couple minutes later, here come the warehouse manager out. Yeah, I wish you'd leave our new guys alone. You're driving me crazy. He said the guy come up to him. He says, I've been looking around. Where do y'all keep the waterproof tires at? This guy's got on order. My son told him, he says, yeah, wait till the next one. I'm going to tell him I want the inflated tires, not the non-inflated tires.
Yeah. The self-inflating tires.
Yeah.
You've got those? Oh, yeah, it's the newest thing. You hook your garden hose up to the top of that thing and just, whoop, there it goes. Wow, good thing you didn't hear me sneeze in the mic.
Well, now I got a few people in here and some in the chat. I'll go ahead and let you guys know we're coming up on the summertime, so you're going to notice a little change in the schedule. We've got some shows that are going to be taking a break for the summer, which usually happens about this time of the year. So won't be having quite as many shows each month, but we are going to have some. I got a couple of one-time shows that we're going to try out, just see how they work out. Give you a heads up, probably in August, I've got a show coming up. We're going to have a panel of people, and what we want everybody in the chat to do is think of some questions you want to ask them. We're going to have people there that are well known in modeling, building buildings, structures, or whatever. Ralph said he'd be there for weathering questions. We got a couple other guys that they're really good on electronics. They'll be in there to help Andy out when he stumps his toe.
You're really making it hard for me to sit here and be quiet, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to draw you into the conversation all we can here, Chris.
You're just trying to get me in trouble. That's the difference.
One way.
Well, the next question is, do you really want to be in trouble? We'll help you.
I get in trouble on my own enough things.
Yeah,
It's more fun when the friends help you.
Alright, William said he had a video up and all 9 do the same thing. The sound cuts in and out and they stall even on perfectly clean track.
He's got 9 of them?
Yeah.
Those intermountain locomotives you're talking about?
Yeah.
How about a current keeper? If it has an electrical pickup problem, as long as it got a little electricity from here and there, if it was kind of not connecting a lot, can you stuff a current keeper in one?
Fitting one of those in an in-scale locomotive is a chore.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to lose something.
Yeah,
Locomotives do the same thing?
William is asking, will magnet wire be able to carry the load for a hard wire in them?
That's pretty small. I don't know enough about the particulars of each scale, but that seems you can get fairly small. But most magnet wires, 30 or 32, 34, 40 gauge, something like that. What's in most of them, Rod? 22 gauge, 24 gauge, probably?
Well, Ron in Australia just signed in. He said no. Magnet. I guess he's saying no to the magnet wire. And he should know with all the small stuff he wires up.
Right. And you can get an enabled wire that was big enough that's not quote-unquote magnet wire. It's just the gauge. It just seems like you'd need a 22, 24 gauge wire. At least. Cat 5 wire, Cat 6 wire. But you should be using a stranded wire if it's going to the truck. Because as that truck moves around, a solid wire is going to impede that movement or other problems. You need a stranded wire.
Well, and I've never I've never actually even handled an intermountain locomotive. I don't know electrical pickup works on them. Does it have the bar that rubs on the back of the wheels? Is that how it works? Like kind of like a Kato does? I assume it doesn't
No.
have the. What's it got there? Let me make that.
This
bigger.
is an Intermountain. Yeah, Intermountain ST40-2. And they've got the pickups.
How's the pickup work?
Yeah, they go right up from the wheels to a little bar, and then it pushes on this magnetic strip that's underneath the frame.
Yeah, copper strip.
Yeah. And so when the wheels turn on it, it just kind of touches on it.
That's
So
kinda like-
the
that's
truck strip is the problem then, I suppose, right? So the wiper going from the truck to
Yeah.
that strip. So
Yeah,
you
there's-
can beat those up, extend the wipers, or for that matter, solder a short wire, tie them together, just knowing that you have to hide it cosmetically, and that if you ever have to disassemble the thing, you'd have to de-solder that jumper wire. But
I mean, the image is a little blurry, but if I'm hearing and seeing what I think I am, it basically works like a Kato pickup. Is that
Yeah.
right, Bob?
Yeah.
So what
It's pretty much like a Kato, but
if you were going to hardwire something, what you would want to do is hardwire it to that little copper strip that runs on the back side of the wheels. In other words, you have to get to that. Or if there's that copper
Right.
piece that connects that little stand on the back side of the truck to that actually wipe. And I guess you could do that. I mean, I've never tried it, but
and if you could go right up against the shitter shafter inside of it, right of the truck where the motor sets underneath it, if you could get a small 22, 24 gauge wire, run right up inside of that, just go right up inside the locomotive and skip that strip and having to hide the wire. It just should have a wire coming from the truck all the way up into the electronics.
yeah. I mean, there's this.
I haven't seen the frame of that, but I would think you could probably do that right up through the shaft, running it around the worm gear. There's usually enough space if you had a small enough wire.
Yeah, I thought that's how they normally are run on HO scale equipment. That's it's a wire run up through there. One of those may be tied to the truck if it's an older, or to the body if it's an older locomotive. But even on the older ones, if I was going to rewire one, I would take that out and hardwire a truck all the way to it.
Most N scale don't have any wires running down there at all. They basically have the electrical pickup, but it just runs the electricity runs right through the frame.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's typically no wires that run down anywhere near the trucks on most modern N-scale locomotives. See,
Constraints of that size, I can get it. HO scale, every one I've got has wires run from the truck. So
see if you look right here, literally you've got the pickup underneath here that like what Bob is showing us, but it just literally connects right on the camera, right into the side of the frame, right in that gap. And the frame is what carries the electricity up through the decoder on each side.
And
No wires. No.
that's fine as a carrier, no big deal. It's that little contact from the truck to the bottom of that on Bob's intermount there that just seems like it's just asking for a problem. Even if it worked well, we knew those parts are going to get oxidized. I mean, that just seems like such a.
And I think that's probably the one weakness of those. And again, almost everybody's using that kind of a pickup on N-scale right now. Kato is, the newer Atlas stuff is using the exact same, kind of mechanism. And that contact of that little brass stand that comes up out of the truck and touches that brass strip, that's that point of contact issue that you have over time. And what I have to do periodically, not too often, but periodically, I'll go in there on that just with a pencil eraser like you would on a slot car set, a slot car, race car set, and clean the black off of it. About once a year, I'll do that on all my locomotives just to keep the contact good.
Right. One thing I noticed was this strip here could get pushed up a little bit, so it wasn't actually making contact. I was just looking at it now, and The strip was up above this little tab that's right in there.
Right, that's supposed to stay underneath that tab. That's what's supposed to hold it down.
Yeah, you got to keep it down there next to the truck, otherwise it ain't going to make contact, because it comes right up next to this motor and attaches to the frame, and that's where it gets the electrical on the frame.
So how would you weld that and deal with that cosmetically? I mean, just as a design, you're always going to have that glaring copper strip in there.
That's one thing I don't like about Intermountain right now.
And you could blacken it, with a blackening agent, etch it, because they are electrically conductive. I did some tracking recently on what's going to be a dead track of a layout, but I was just curious how well it conducted electricity. So I put a locomotive on it. And, it's only a couple feet, and it got contact over that blackening, so that works. But it's going to brush off there in no time. It's going to expose down to the copper, and a few running hours.
Well, Greg is asking if you guys have an idea about what size wire you would use. It'd have to be pretty small, probably like Andy was saying, maybe around 24.
Well, if he's got something like this, I would think that if this strip is not pushing down well enough on the truck, it's not going to make good contact. So it could be bent in some way, so it's lifting up instead of pushing down. That's something I'd probably check before soldering anything, really.
Yeah, Ron was saying in Australia, decoder wire.
Yeah, that's the best idea. But also take into account the wire from the truck up into the electronics is just another extended piece of your feeder wire. So whatever you're running for your feeders from the bus up to the rails, that as long as it's anywhere close to that same size, and a 24, 22 in HO scale, or 20 in HO scale, and a 24 or 26 in N scale should be entirely adequate. And a 26 or a 24 for that matter is a fairly small wire. What decoder wire typically has going for it is a really thin insulation. And quite flexible. You can either buy a decoder wire that's already flexible with a thin insulation on it, or you can buy a wire that is thin dielectric or thin insulation, rather.
Yeah, I think that's the trick. I mean, I was sitting here with this is 22 gauge wire. This is what I do my feeders on my track with, but the insulation is too thick. You
need something small.
Just run up through there, but with thinner insulation.
Yeah, and I use speaker wire, not the big gaudy stuff, just 24 gauge speaker wire like you'd use for a telephone. Basically, it's the same gauge of wire, but for an audio system of telephone quality. The 24 gauge speaker wire, it's really flexible, but it has a thick insulation on it, so it's great to run around the layout as bus wire. But it doesn't matter about the insulation, as long as, of course, the actual metal inside is the same gauge or roughly the same gauge. If the locomotive is up through the feeders, you don't have a point of contention where the wire is going to get hotter at because it's smaller. So at 24 is a really, really small wire if you get one with the thin insulation on it. And you can buy it, it's more expensive, I'm sure, from ESU or Tsunami or whoever, but surely you can just online buy a very thin insulation wire.
All right, William said that the whole locomotive sits 6 inches to TLI as well. I've bent, twisted, and cleaned all of that stuff, and it doesn't help. Let's see here. Bill Rogers said I had the issue with the strip getting pushed up on a couple of the engines. They wouldn't run with the shell zone. Ralph has just come in, he said, and he says somebody was asking about using magnet wire in the trucks, and yes, it will work. A small piece from the strip to the truck will be no problem.
Sure, I could see that. I'm just inclined to say, if you're going to go to the trouble of doing that, if you do from the truck to the strip, every time you want to take the body off, you'd have to desolder it. But if you just went from the truck right on up inside to wherever that feeder from that strip comes to, up closer to your electronics, just run a wire with a a quarter, half-inch slack so you could separate the parts if needed. Boy, it seems like you'd be a lot better off if you just run a 2-inch piece of wire.
Yeah. William said even the speaker is a contact arrangement, just like the motor is. That's part of the problem.
It makes it easier for them to mass produce. I get it. They could just plug the pieces together without having to have people soldering or machines soldering. But if you're going to get inside of it and do any work on them, tie them together.
Hey Michael, how you doing? He just popped in. Ralph said, no, you want the strip as part of the chassis.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I can think of is, let's see, something wrong with the pickup connection in the truck. That they manufactured them wrong, bad or something. You got a whole batch of bad ones that they didn't put together right.
Yeah, has he had? That's my next question. Is has he had the trucks apart?
And he probably
assembled the
bought
trucks.
9 of them. Well, it looks like he had bought 9 of them, and they all don't work.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, he just made the comment for the price you're paying. That's not acceptable for a company to take such shortcuts.
Yeah.
And he said, "Thanks, guys, for the input."
And but I contact Intermountain.
And
they probably don't know about it or do know about it.
The little strip of magnet wire does not have to be unsoldered to take the shell off. You're going from the truck to the strip, which is all part of the chassis.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. He was just saying it wouldn't run without the shell on it, so I was thinking that when you
the little strip of wire you're putting on is probably no longer than about 1.5 inches max.
Oh, well, if you went from the truck up to that strip in end scale, it'd be a 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch. I mean, it'd be probably a 1/4 inch, a little bitty. So yeah, it would work.
You want to give yourself some room for maneuvering.
Sure, of course, but you don't want a lot of slack.
Magnet wire would work, and even if you stalled that engine, you still won't burn out that magnet wire. The amperage is not great enough in N scale.
I would agree with that. In HO scale, maybe if you got a dead short, somehow, maybe you'd have a problem with that wire, but in N scale, surely not. Yeah, that makes sense. And even if you soldered a wire to it, that would solve my problem since you're chiming in on it now. That would solve my issue with how to weather the thing. How the word you'd ever make that look good with that exposed brass contact, big bright shiny metal under the edge of it where it's not supposed to be.
But it's not exposed.
It's
well, you can't really. I don't know with like the
you can see it from the side.
Seems like you'd have to be able to see it. It'd have to be big enough to see it.
I can see it. I can see it from the side. I noticed that. I'm like, what?
Right, and on your layout, much like mine, where you have areas that are above your field of view, and you're looking up into that, those things really shine.
I don't have an intermount. I don't have an intermountain one here, but I'm looking at this, and the only thing you can see is one little brass strip that goes from the truck up to the chassis. That's all you see. That's a Cato unit in N scale. Yeah, that brass strip that they're talking about is just under the walkway that goes across here.
But the one showing you could see the contact and such.
See, like, now this is a Kato, and on this one, that brass strip, actually, the shell comes down over the chassis far enough that now if you got underneath it, you could barely see it. I got an Atlas here. No, this is a Kato also.
This is Kato.
This one's the same way. It actually fits down far enough that it hides that brass strip, unless you're looking up underneath it. I've never noticed it.
I don't put this extra plastic here to cover it.
All right, hang on. There's 3 of you talking at one time.
There's Atlas and Atlas. There's no bronze wire to be seen at all. No strip at all.
That's much better. That's why I think rotary wire makes so much sense. But you can cover them. You can paint the backside or black it or edge the outside of the wiper.
Once you solder it, you can paint it.
Absolutely. That's why I like the idea of running that wire. If it were mine, I would want to run a wire either from the truck all the way or from the truck to the strip. If for no other reason than one, it's more reliable, it solves your electrical problem, but especially inclined because of the cosmetics. Because you can hide the wiper, because you can paint the backside of the wiper. That's not a problem. But if what that wiper has to touch is going to shine like new money, then
and there's Atlas. And the only way you're going to see it is if you're looking at it like that.
I can't see it from there, but this is on webcam, so
yeah.
I can see a little.
Also
bit
on any of the, you could paint them anyway, all but about an inch. There's only about 1/8 of an inch of that brass strip where those things make contact. I mean, even if you turn that truck full,
that's right.
There's a stand in there only moves back and forth about a total of 1/8 of an inch. It turns, so you could, if it bothered you, you could paint all the rest of it. Just
well,
that 1/8 of an inch is so truck see it.
Right, and if you use an etch it, then etch the whole thing, and if whatever wears off a little over time, because it's going to be electrically conductive regardless, whatever wears off a little over time, that little bit of a scratch right there, that wouldn't bother me either. But that big whole shining strip, that's pretty bright.
Yeah. See, this one's a Kato, and they put a plastic detail strip over in front of this copper strip that we're talking about, and that's all sit down in there, and it's wedged into the right place so it keeps the right tension.
Yep.
This one here on Intermountain, it's all loose. This is completely exposed on the side. They didn't even put any detail on the cab to cover that up or do anything that's resembling something that's there, because we all know there's something there on the real thing.
Sure.
But
I think I'm figuring out why I don't have any Intermountain.
Yeah, their quality's
Well,
questionable. They've had some cool locomotives come out that got good reviews. I think it was theirs, maybe it's MTH I'm thinking of, but I think Intermountain had a really good SP cab forward that people rave about, like Bachman's B&O locomotive, that big or Malley that the EM1 or the whichever they make.
Yeah.
That's a great locomotive, but it's a rare diamond among
I've got a cab forward from them, and it looks pretty good. But this is the first diesel that I've gotten from them. Well, actually the third. The other two they squealed because they never really test their locomotives in a soundproof room. There's so much noise in there you can't hear anything. And so here they send off products that the motor's just squealing. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
I mean,
I was there when they tested it.
Stage in this era, I don't know how you could do a locomotive as a manufacturer from any of those guys without having a sound room to do sound quality work, because we have got to a point where we won't even accept, or a whole lot of us won't even accept, like 8-bit audio. We want some pretty good quality sound coming out of the locomotives. You need as a manufacturer, you need a little audio recording studio that you can test the equipment in. That's so you can tune it.
Yeah, because they run test all their stuff before they send it out. So they open up all the packages, pull the locomotive out, test it real quick, and put it back in the package. You got all this noise in the factory. You got there's a machine making trucks over on the other side of the wall. They're in a glass room, so all the vibrations are bouncing off everything in the room. I was standing right there, and I couldn't hear the squeal because there's so much ambient noise in the room. And I was like,
Pete, what's up, bro?
No wonder.
No, it's going all right, man.
Couldn't hear it.
Starting to fall asleep in my chair.
Hey,
I know.
Robert, mute your mic.
Robert, your microphone, buddy. Your microphone. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's an Atlas unit.
Yeah.
There's that strip they're talking about.
Yep.
And that's covered though with the shell on it, right? You can't see it.
Yeah, when the shell goes on, you don't see it. All you see is the piece that goes from the truck up to it.
Yeah.
But the shell comes down, maybe a 32nd of an inch over it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to be much at all. I mean, it's a very thin, component. You don't have to cover it where you couldn't see way up under there. But if it's right up against the shell, you can't see it.
The thing is, you have to make sure that if you do take your shell off, and it goes for all of them, even Cato, you have to make sure that strip is in the right position when you put the shell back on again, because you could jam it into the wrong position.
Sure.
And then it gets bent. You don't want it bent because
that's right.
Yada yada yada.
Well, William has said that he's been in contact with Intermountain, and they said that the issue was with him because nobody else has said anything about it. He also said that his local hobby shop doesn't sell Intermountain anymore because of the issues with them, and that's really a sad statement about their quality. And also, let's see, I need to get back up here. How you doing, Marty? Down in Australia. He just popped in a few minutes ago, said howdy. Michael Liberto, he had a question for ground cover, dirt, using brown grout. Good to use or what?
Yep.
Grout with no sand, yes.
But if you use just grout with no sand, you're zit texturing. Basically, really close to that. Nothing wrong with it. It'll give you a textured surface. But if you're going to do that, use a colander, a straightener, or whatever, a quite fine straightener, like a T-straightener is my preference because it's small. That's my favorite little device for putting, and then, drop it in and tap the side of the straightener to make it come out so it'll lay down with the texture. Because if you just pour it on, when you apply water and or glue, I don't use glue, grout, just water, it won't smooth out on you unless you want it to, like on a road. It'll stay with some texture if you use that straightener and tap it on. But I mix grout and dirt together, and the combination of those two lets me adjust color and stuff, but lets me keep the good texture of the dirt without it going away as easily as it does with grout. If you
got to sift your dirt too, because you got all those what do they call it, compostable materials in the dirt.
Yep.
That you want to get out.
Cook dirt, not for long. You just got to bring it, catch the wife away for a little bit. Lowest temperature you got with the oven cranked about this much, so the moisture can come out, and cook it for 15 minutes. That'll kill all the enzymes and dry it out good for you to use, so you could use it, an hour later after it's cooled down. I don't know what my wife would say if she found it in the refrigerator, so I haven't tried putting it in there, but just take it out and let it cool down. And I run it through a coffee grinder. I've got a dedicated coffee grinder, and I run a lot of the dirt through the coffee grinder so you can get a silt, almost silt-like fine dirt on it. But I mix grout with it. I actually like the texture of the grout dirt better than just the dirt by itself or just the grout by itself. That combination of those two, even if I only use 20% grout, if I don't want to change the color too much, it still adds a bit of texture that's desirable. Smooths out the texture.
Michael was asking, did you say sanded grout or non-sanded?
You could use either. If you're using it as a primary surface, like it's going to do the work of the job, is no dirt or very little dirt, and it's going to carry most of the dirt. Good sanded grout is preferable because it's a really fine sand anyway. That's fine. Unless you want a very, very smooth surface, because with sanded grout, you won't get a perfect, you can't rub it to get smooth dirt roads like you can with unsanded grout. If you're adding it to dirt, I use mostly the unsanded grout, and it's more of a coloring agent for me. A coloring agent. It smooth out some of the texture, make it a little more even, I guess, and it's a bonding agent because with the grout, if you're 50-50 grout, I put glue down first, tap it on, with the filter or whatever, tap it on there, and then just spray it with water. I don't use glue on the top surface if you use enough grout, because it's hard as concrete because it's Portland cement.
All right, Lloyd. I don't think he can hear me.
Martin's trying to stir the shit again.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lloyd, Martin said tonight's lunch, today's lunch is turkey and salad roll for lunch today.
That's what he had for the last 4 days.
Yeah, he must be on a diet.
That's what they're serving in prison?
Yeah.
Man, I thought they eat better now.
Yeah, maybe it's the insane asylum though. I don't know what their food is.
Yeah, Metrozell. Why can't I get my Arduino Uno up and running when I did the programming right, but I get a protection problem, so I can't get it to work. Not even the blink thing won't work.
A protection problem? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Tell you what, Arduino's a lot. If you hop in one of the non-recorded shows, because Arduino stuff goes really deep really quickly. If you hop in one of the non-recorded shows, catch, there's quite a few of us that are messing with Arduinos these days. Try to help you some.
Did you catch that, Mitch? And Marty went, ho, 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 Bob.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah,
It's
Michael said
already
thanks,
Christmas time? It's already Christmas time in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, he must have saw the Santa Claus thing on the wall.
That still kills me. It's summertime for them and winter for us at Christmas.
Think of the months being different. It's what messes with me about that. It's like they just recognize that Christmas is a summer holiday.
Well, that's why we have Christmas in July.
But they basically do, of sorts.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make more sense to me if they said, if they did like time zones or whatever. They said, well, it's winter time for them. But their idea of winter is hot. Their idea of summer is cold.
Oh, Andy, I wanted to show you something.
Yeah, while Lloyd's doing that, Mitch said yes, but it's the computer that is doing it.
Oh, okay. Yep, I've seen that quite a bit. Is it an official Arduino or an actual Arduino from the people in Italy, or is it a knockoff like Amazon's kits or something? Nothing against the knockoffs. I use them all the time, but we've had some problems. So what I recommend people do, if you're just getting into Arduino, buy a name brand, an official one. They're good people, good open source development creating it. Put a little bit of money in their pocket, buy a good name brand. You won't have problems with it. You won't have a bug one that could be, a DOA one or something. That you've got a much better chance of success with your first Arduino buying a name brand, and it will work with the computer without any problem. With the knockoffs, sometimes you've got to mess around with the driver in Windows to make them work correctly. But if you plug up an official, you get it working, no problem. Then if you start plugging up knockoffs after that, an official Arduino would have got your computer set up correctly.
Yeah, well, my first question would be is it actually uploading the sketch?
He said it is made in Italy.
Good deal.
By Chinese people.
You're right.
Well, I don't even know that they're actually made in Italy. The company that started this thing is an Italian company, but that don't mean that. All right, brother. Hang on. Let's see that for a minute. All right.
That's your scale track?
Yeah.
The left side is my speedometer.
All right.
The middle is my weigh scale.
Yes, sir.
And the one on the right side, that's where I'm going to have my gate that's going to open.
Right. With the people moving all over the place.
I don't know yet, but anyway, going that way.
Yeah, good start. But that's a great module to have. I mean, what a great module that a person can build similar to what you're doing. What a place to work on equipment. You can speed, determine the speed and do speed table matching or speed matching for your locomotives on the front track. Weigh your cars to big arrangement.
That switch?
But that's mainly to bring out at shows, to get people to try to get people into Arduino and doing stuff like that.
Show them what they can do, and then show them, that it's not necessarily that hard. Do you have a zoomed-in picture? Bob was asking about the effectively gauntlet track that makes the Schoolhouse track. You can zoom in on that. And what'd you do to tell him what you did? Fix that.
Well, what I did is here. Let me show you some other pictures.
This is fascinating. This slick as you could ask for. I had an idea of how to do it, and my idea was a tremendous lot harder than the way he did this.
You didn't build it from scratch. You modified switches, huh?
But only one set of rails gets weighed. The set of rails that on the diverging route of those turnouts, like it should be. If you go across the straight rails, they're not weighed. My only way I could think to do that correctly was to solder pins to the bottoms of the rail, put those two center rails in there floating up, like put some spring in them so they'd float up a little bit. When you put a car on there, we push the pins down through, and then have a bar that tied to the load cell. And which is a crazy thing to try to figure out how to make that work, be reliable, not break. But what Lloyd come up with is
I'm going to try to explain it on this picture here. On the right hand side, what you see here was a turnout, which I cut because I didn't feel like doing my own tracks. So basically I cut it, and I did the same thing on the other side. So basically it was two turnouts. And what I did here in the middle, it's two set of tracks that go into each other.
like a gauntlet.
Well, yeah, but the way I did it, it's two tracks, and I removed the rail that you could slide on both tracks, and then fit in the track, and then put back the rails so that they would move. And then I cut a piece. Unfortunately, I got a terrible program for pictures.
I got a picture for that.
Let's see. Here we go. As you can see where it's cut, that's good. That's going to be the part that's going to sit on the loading cell, which is going to weigh that particular, well, that wheel.
And it's 2 inches, right?
No, 1 inch.
1 inch.
Sorry, very good question. I don't remember anymore.
It's
been a while.
It's almost 1 3/4 inches.
Yeah. Right.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Judging by the mat that you're sitting on.
That's
that's
what I
right.
was thinking. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That's centimeters on that mat, right?
No,
Is it not?
No, that's inches.
that's
Yeah.
inches.
Yeah, I see.
They don't make metric mats.
No.
Yeah.
So, so Bob, I'll just show you a finished version of it.
It's that way in just one wheel.
Yeah, it's going to weigh just one wheel. I've got the other one where it weighs the full car.
All right. What do you think about so you think the wood truck method is the better mechanism?
Well, it's because you could do it like a running train.
Right.
The other one, you really have to stop, push the car in like they used to.
Sure. All right. So
Okay.
when you
so
you tested that both ways, and do you think the accuracy is about the same weighing wood truck versus weighing the truck?
The accuracy is the same. It's just for the, I guess, how much work is involved. This one, you just bring your train, weighs one wheel, move it, weighs the other wheel, then you got the total that appears. Then you go to the next one. So it's much faster to do than having to push a car, wait, then remove it and push in the other car.
Which is what they did in real life, and so you're taking that part out of it.
No, they did both ways.
Yeah.
This one here would mainly be found in industries where they just take the entire train and they just run it, while the other one is found in yards when in the 70s where they weighed each car separately.
Yeah, up until about the 70s. In my era, they weighed each car separately. But I would love it if the actual weigh station was not the controlling factor in having to do that. So if the single truck mechanism for weighing is roughly as accurate as weighing the entire car, so that a person, because I intend to use the weigh scale that I'm going to put on the layout for actually weighing cars. And, I'm going to try to get that data planted directly in JMRI. So it knows how heavy the car is, and it assigns cars and locomotives as part of the operating scheme to make sure there's enough power to pull the real weight of the train. I just thought it just seemed like you would lose some accuracy only weighing a single truck. But if you're getting the same numbers, I'm going to do it the same way you're doing it. Whatever you prove to work, I'll do it that way.
So that's like a weighing pad that was underneath it when the track pushes down on it.
Yeah, I'm going to show you what it looks like.
A scale house.
That's how they weigh semis in the real world all the time.
Right. And it's useful as a part of an operating session to do it, but it's also useful, to use, when you're weighing your cars or adding weight to your cars. You don't have to use a kitchen scale to do that anymore. I mean, how much better?
This one here was for a full car.
Yep.
And it's sitting on what they call a load cell, which looks like, do I have a picture of it? I thought I did. Oh, yeah. No. No. No, sorry, I don't have a picture of it.
But they're load cells.
Yeah, it's called a load cell.
Oh, I've got a picture of a load cell. I still got this one open, so here, I'll show you real quick.
Yeah, that's what it is. I found out that there's different weights. Like the one I have right now, it's 5 kilograms. Unfortunately, it doesn't say ounces or pounds or whatever. It's a 5 kilogram load cell. What I should really get is a 500 gram, which is Chris, you better explained it the other night. It's
so
it will be more accurate.
How many gram, or is the one that you're wanting to get?
500. The one I ordered the 500 because the 5,000 grams, if you want, is wouldn't be as accurate.
No, you're losing granularity. It's having a round off a lot more. And all I did is
the example I gave him the other night was, you know, when you're measuring voltage, like with an Arduino, and it's actually better to measure the voltage with 3.3 volts versus 5 volts because you get more precision with 3.3 volts as the reference voltage than you do at 5 volts. So it's the same concept as if you use a 500 gram cell versus a 5,000 gram cell, he's getting better resolution when he's measuring the weight.
Yeah.
Resolution. That's the best word. I wasn't thinking about using the word resolution a minute ago. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you're turning your gauge down on your ohm meter, for instance, down to a smaller number, so it's more accurately.
Well, and that's why I like setting the maximum speed on my locomotives in the speed curve. Why have all those positions in your speed curve unused by speeds you're never going to run the locomotive? So I set my top speed at somewhere a little above, you know, in case I want to, you know, kind of go for a minute. But I'll set those top few speeds with a bit of space between it with DCC speed curve. You know how it ramps between speed steps. You just need a few speed steps, and that granularity you get for most of the slow speeds, where you could go, you know, just makes a lot of difference.
So Bob, that's the result I get by weighing the cars with there's a formula inside. So basically 50,621 pounds would be an empty car. Well, in my case, it's a freight, it's a box car.
Right.
And when you read on the box car, it says empty load.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it varies between, so let's say the one I'm looking at is 45, hold on, it's right here. It's 50,200. So we'll just say there's a few pallets sitting inside
weighing it down.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I want to make this car, it's supposed to be capacity 122,000. I would have to add weight to that car. So I'm going to have two cars, and Chris brought up a good point. If you're doing operations, if I have my car number is 35106, I should have two cars 35106. One is empty and one is full.
What if? So I want to put an RFID reader under mine. So when I pull the car up on it, it knows what car it is. It reads an RFID tag. There's already RFID reading code in JMRI. There's a JIPON script already available. You just have to turn it on. It's there. So if you could have that, write its data back into JMRI, which I don't think is going to be very hard at all. Me and Chris have talked about reading and writing data out of it. Robert too, actually several times. If you could write that data, you could have it write the real weight back to the table. But if you could do that, like I want to be able to do, it would be similarly as easy for JMRI to send a weight back to their display. So even though your car stays exactly the weight you got there, you could have JMRI artificially inflate or spoof or whatever you want to call it, the weight, so that it fits with your operational scheme without having to actually change it. That's how I think I'm going to do it on my layout. But
then you don't need.
Only for solid cars, as I'm thinking about doing that. For coal hoppers, gondolas, flat cars, I'm just going to have the weight in the load, a lot of weight in the load.
That's what I explained to him the other night, and Lloyd made up a point that you wouldn't necessarily need the load cell then, because you're manipulating the weight with JMRI. What I said was for me, I'm lazy and I don't want to take load in or out of my cars. Box cars.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would just use RFID to read the car, what car is there, and then the computer system would tell it if it was loaded or unloaded, and what its weight should be loaded. You basically have a database that tells it the gross weight that it hauls. and that. And then, like you said, with coal you can easily manipulate to be the real world deal because you just dump it from a
What's in your fake load? You just put in your fake load. You just put it weight in that. And the thing that I'm thinking about this is that means that I only need the RFID, at least for this one part of this equation. I only need RFID for the few cars that are both solid cars. I can't put weight in them, like tank cars, for example, and that I may need to weigh, like a few box cars. I still think the load cell is the de facto way to do it, because in my case, the only thing I'm weighing is coal cars. That's it. And I care about having the load cell because as I tune cars and all this stuff, I can use that as a car setup part of the arrangement, like making coupler heights are right and wheels are engaged. It's useful for that. Only a few cars when I need to spoof it, just a few.
But Andy, if you look at the Boulder Creek weigh station, which generates just random numbers, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you could use that and have it, instead of having printed on the screen, have it sent to JMRI. So you don't need RF. What is it?
RFID.
You wouldn't need the RFID. I mean, there's ways of doing it. It's just that if you're doing operations and you want to use those cards, well, you got to write the weight of your car on the card. So
Yep.
would it be? I mean, sure, you could do it with the RFID, but it's just for operations.
Well, the benefit it's an operational thing. The benefit to RFID is if you don't have RFID, then the JMRI has no idea what car to attach that. It's without. But again, I think the RFID solution to my little nuance problem of needing to artificially inflate some weights is not very important, because there's only a very few cars where I need to do that. The vast, 497 of the 500 cars that need to be weighable on my layout are coal and open top loads. So the load cell is just spectacular. I am super excited about what you've been working on, Lloyd, because I just think it's cool as it's just the bee's knees, brother. But there's a few cars, a very few, where it may be essential to weigh a car that needs to be artificially inflated. But that's a rare, odd case. And for that matter, I'll fake it without jumping through a bunch of hoops somehow.
It all depends on your layout, really.
Oh yeah. But I mean, if you're modeling if you're modeling a coal hauling railroad, weight or logging railroads, I assume they weighed logs.
Yeah, they do.
But let's say you have two railroad names, and you want to send some cars on the other railroad. They need to know what the weight is so they can charge you that amount.
Absolutely, yeah, tonnage fee.
But again, then you've got some railroads that just switch cars, and they assume that during the year I'll switch 50,000 cars, and you'll switch 50,000 cars, so they don't need a weigh station.
In my case, they weigh on tonnage because there's trackage rights across the clinch field running across my line, so they have to weigh and pay. So it's going to be a very interesting part of the operation of my layout that will be used a lot.
Yeah, you're right, Dwight. Anyway, ding ding.
I think wood they weighed, but it was because of the fact that if it was a certain species of wood and the cord length was a certain length, they would weigh it, because that's how. And nowadays, modern logging, when a truck goes into from Maine to Canada with timber, if they're carrying pulp or whatever, they go into the mill, they get weighed. They don't count the number of logs and the cord length on them. They weigh the truck.
Yeah, that made more sense to me. The more I thought about the idea of logging, I doubt very seriously they would weigh on the train in virtually any case. Mostly because logging companies are notoriously cheap, which also makes them pretty interesting and cool to model, because they used crappy locomotives and didn't treat them very well. So,
all right, we're getting a little late, long in the tooth here, so I was going to say, Mitch, if you can, we do have nightly chats. We got people like Andy here, Chris coming in, Robert, and Marty from in Australia comes in. But anyway, if you're able to go to appear.in/YouTube Model Railroaders.
Model builders.
Model builders. Yeah, excuse me, model builders. That's
All
for the
one
nightly chat. And because most laptops will have a built-in camera and microphone, you can come in and it sounds like on your Arduino there's just something rather simple, and since you just want to use it to control lights, and it works very well for that, y'all try getting in on the chat and let these guys see what they can do to help you out. 'Cause I'm sure you just it's just some little something you're probably overlooking or just hadn't seen yet, which is what happens in my case. Gotta look at it too long. But anyway, so that's it for tonight, I guess. Dwight did ask, since he can't find a DCC++ shield, if anybody had any ideas where he might get one. I'd say just go in the kitchen, get the cupboard, get the aluminum foil out and make your own shield. Oh, that was for something else. But anyway.
That's for the foil hat.
That was a bad joke.
Yeah.
You get interference everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only thing I can say is, Dwight, I think there was a shortage there, and they were supposed to get new supplies in back a couple of months ago or a month ago. If you go back to the very first posting on the DCC++, where Chris and Robert posted the list of parts you needed, go back and look at those websites again, see if they got them back in stock. You can try that.
I ordered mine through Amazon. I think I got it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, Amazon was out of them for a while. You couldn't get anything for about April 12th on Amazon.
2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to get over here and okay. I want to say go to YouTube Model Builders, check the schedules for the Tuesday, Wednesday shows. Those are at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Thursday's show is at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Be sure to start checking that schedule. I will be updating it in the next couple of weeks because we are going to have a difference in shows for the next few months because it is summertime. People are getting outside, yard work, kids, summer vacations, and all that good stuff. And quite honestly, we've been going at it all year long, and we really need to take a break. So we won't have quite as many shows coming up over the next 2-3 months like we have been. So we'll kind of do like the TV stations. We've already put out the new stuff. Now you watch the reruns. But I do have some shows planned to bring them in there, kind of one-nighters. But they should be very interesting, like the one I was talking about, where you can ask the guys in the know. I really hadn't put a name on it yet, but start thinking of questions that you want to ask people. We'll have people like Miles Hale, Ralph Rossetti, going to have Chris Rood, Andy, Robert, and probably a few others that you can come in and ask them questions about scenery, weathering, building, scratch building, kit bashing, whatever. I know one of those shows will run in August. May try and run one in July. So check your schedule on YouTubeMobileBuilders.com. And let's see what we got next week. All right, May the 22nd, we got the Weathering Show with Mr. Ralph. So you want to be sure to tune in for that. And then we got the Thursday show that week too. So that'll be Tuesday and a Thursday, the T days in the week. With that said, have a good weekend. Have fun. We'll see you next week. Bye.